All and welcome to another episode of Drupal. So here we are going to cover our weeks 8, or 9 and 10. And what we are going to do is we are going to go through the debug pipeline. So, what is the pipeline? Now, in my opinion, the pipeline is the irritating green thing that we have to overcome each and every time. For quite a few weeks, I was initially that entire pipeline was red. Let me just show you. So this one actually works. But if we go to our pipelines section, you will see that this is all the merged pipelines, not for the branches. You'll see like something like this. If I just open this up, you should see that this pipeline has failed. And it is often really irritating to see, okay, the build stage works, the validate stage doesn't work, the PHP unit stage doesn't work. And it often takes a lot of time to just work about it. So let's start and let's go through how to overcome each and every step. As you can see, there is composer, there is validate, and there is test. So first, let's see where does all of this come from actually. And this is a full blog about that. We are just going to follow the blog on how we do it. So I'm just going to show you how to take steps from these things. The code snippets that are there and how to actually make them work. So now what we are going to do is initially see why this pipeline emerges in the first place. So we can go to code in our code. So just yeah. So in our code, let us just go down. This was something debugging. Just this. So needs this. Okay. So it will be in a file in a custom module called so yeah, GitLab CI.yml. Let's close everything else. We do not need anything else. Close all. Yes, this is something that we need. So this is one of the default templates that we have. I have done this in my earlier videos. So this basically takes up this project. It references the GitLab template and it has the Drupal CI main variables and workflows. So for we have to opt in for the next minor version that is one, previous major that is one, and max PHP that is one. And this executes like we can see the major and minor in the code pipeline. Yeah, here you can see there is major version, next minor version, max version, next minor, previous major. So something like this is always covered. The default timeout is 1 hour. The PHP unit time of this is 2 hours. Now you can ask why is the PHP unit time of more? Because unit test cases generally tend to run a lot longer, and that is why a timeout of more time is essential. We have CS CSPUD uh, allowing the failure is false, PHP CS allowing the failure is false, PHP stand allowing the failure is false. That is pretty good. We shouldn't allow any of these things to fail, and this is standard Drupal practice. So let us just go on what to do, what we have to do. And this basically runs this script before we run PHP stand. So yeah, that's about it. And now let's just focus on doing one thing at a time. First, let's go to CSPA. Now, for CSPA, as we see, code spell checker. First, you'll have to install Node.js, but mostly DDEV does include Node.js, so you will not be able to need to do that. So, hey, let's just go copy this and copy it. Please clear up the terminal for you. Yes. So I'm in my sandbox. Sandbox is where my Drupal root is. Here I'm just going to paste this. So in my custom module, I have my I yeah, that's me. Just press enter. It says hi, failed to run. So this web has exited state. Okay. So and sometimes what happens, we do not need TDR exec things. You can just run, hey, I have space installed, and then we just do that. It should stand for each and every module and it picks up words. Like there is words from readme.md, there are words from composer.json, and yeah, it picks up words from these places. So now what we can do is we can even go to inside a particular module. So let's go inside web modules, module generator. In that can also run C. So the key to your running C here is we just type C and then just say hey, the entire path inside the dictionary. So what this piece of code does is for all the folders, navigate to all its subfolders and documents. So this would again do the same scan and we should get the same result. Now, a common thing to note is it scanned just 46 here while here it scanned 50. So few things that did not scan here. And that is pretty interesting. You see, it depends on the scope and what it does. So here is how something that we can do. Now we can see there are unknown words here. There is common mark, there is drosh, and these are some few words that we do not need, or we need to ignore it because these words are essential for us. You can just go to composer.json and open as in the file editor, and we see, hey, I do need this word. This is a requirement. I cannot remove this word. Similarly, a README, I mean, in README, in Dash should be acceptable to Drupal. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to create a .cspell.json file, and it has a structure. It follows a structure. First, we put the version number, then the language that is English, and then the words, and then the ignore parts. So here in ignore parts, we have all of the file paths that we need to ignore. A cool thing to show you is that if I put maybe perhaps readme.md directly, so we can see these two errors. They should, sorry, go away. I got bad throat. And now run that. Yeah, as you can see, it does go away. So that is one change that I'm going to show you here. And then the other change is the common mark. We need to include that. So a cool way to do that is firstly you can find, hey, I have C here, and then in C, I just put it somewhere. But if you have too many keywords and you do not know to how to sort it out, what you do is, let's say I place it in the wrong area, and I say common mark. Okay, now let's go back to our blog. We creating the C-spell file. That is something that we did. And now keeping our dictionary organized. Now I'll show you a quick VS Code way. So what do? Is we select all these words. Keep in mind you do not select the array. Just press Control Shift and P. Now we just sort the lines ascending. We just click on that and sort it out. And now you can see the common mark is up ahead. As soon as we click save and then we again run cscope, it should result in no errors. Yeah. So files checked, zero issues found, and in zero files. That is pretty interesting and pretty good. So yeah, that's for cscope. And now let's move on to our next testing pattern. So what did we have here? We had cscope, then we have PHP-CS. Now PHP-CS is also pretty irritating. I mean, these are small, tiny blocks of code that we often get. And let's see what we do. So firstly, we will have to add these steps, install Drupal core dev tools right away. I have this installed, so I wouldn't need to do this. Okay, so let's move on to step two. But before we do step two, I will first like you to run step three first, just for our sake. And now we are inside. So a cool, important thing about this is the vendor path here is mentioned. So this needs to be run by in our root folder. So let's just go out and so, yeah, now we are out. Paste it. You can see your module is mentioned. Customize, feel free to customize as per your module. Even if I leave it just custom, it should work because I just have one custom. So let's just take this one. No, it does fail to execute. It gives the same error. Service web has exited. state exit. So what we're going to do is we are going to remove the dev exit. The dev exit, we can use it when your container is running. Right now, it is not. So, okay, we just did that. And give it a lot of it. Okay, so there were, let's, so first error we did file in our file readme.md. We have line characters exceeded by these many characters, etc., etc. Second is in architecture.md, and third is in again a readme. So that's the test readme, and this is our normal readme. Now we want to ignore the readme files because readme is not something that I would like to change, and it should not come under code standard. And so we have a lot of extensions mentioned here: PHP module, INC, profile, theme, info, blah, blah. So how this work is the first part of code, that is this command line, is finding where PHP is. So if you do go to our, let's navigate this file and see what it is. Let's go to vendor. In vendor, we have bin. In bin, we need to go to PHP.cs. So yeah, this is PHP.cs. So it basically uses this file to browse. In here, we have standard Drupal practice. And this is the type of test that we're doing. Let's see if we can actually open this up. Yeah, we can open this up. We can perhaps read on what this is. Not something that I recommend doing because it is not for you to see and you cannot change it. I mean, you should not change it, so it's not quite useful. So yeah, it's just for your reference. And unless you're making a module on that, so then that is completely different. So yeah, this picks up, hey, I want the standard Drupal practices. And the extensions I want you to check is all of these things, quite a few extensions. So if, and then our path where I want you to check about these extensions. So first, where is PHP CS located? Then it's, this is basically arguments that we input. I want standard Drupal practices, and what kind of extensions I want to check, and where I want to check. So that is basically my custom modules. And now I do not want to, hey, run about MD. MD and text documents are out of this scope. So we can maybe have something like this. Okay. So it does not show me an error because I've fixed all the errors. But if I had to introduce an error for you guys, I would probably do it. So this is some of my test file. You can see there is this last space. If I just remove the space, this should technically throw up an error. Let's go. So yes, as it really does throw up an error. It gives you the description where the error is located, exactly where we have made a change. What it will show you, found one error affecting one line. On line 77, that is where the error is located. Expected one new line at end of file 0 fault. So basically, did not find a end of line, which is not good according to Drupal. So we can use PHP CBF to fix it. The X mark indicates that PHP CBF can fix it. If it does not exist, then you will have to fix it manually. So now let's learn how PHP CBF can fix it. CBF stands for Code Beautifier. CS stands for Coding Standards. So let's just go here and we can see CBF. So basically the difference between these two commands is it has PHP CS here and it does have PHP CBF here. So let me just copy for demo purposes and I will remove your model, put leave it custom, and then let's just go up and remove the JavaScript. Okay, and let's just hit enter. So now we can see it automatically adds a new line, and now there is no. So if we again have to check are there any errors existing, we use CS, the manual way, and then it will scan and it will show, hey, there are no errors. This is something that we can overcome by PHP CS. So now let's go to our pipeline to see what else is there. We have covered PHP CS, and now let's go to PHP unit. I will come back for ESLint and stylint. Uh, these two. So these will be the major errors that you will come across. Stylint and ESLint errors. Let me just brief you about that real quick. they are mainly for ESLint is for .js files that you have in your code. It covers the standard practices for that, and stylelint covers the .css files. Now, since I did not have a lot of ESLint and stylelint files, yeah, it passed without any issues. But okay, first let's complete that, and I will show you how to see what's wrong in a pipeline. Okay, now let's just focus on PHP units. Let's just go. These are some configuration steps that you will have to do. You will have to go to phpunits.xml for this. And now there are two places. One is phpunit.xml, and then there is in detail that make these changes. So let me first show you php.xml in php.xml. Yeah, php.xml. So here we have php.xml. As you can see, all of these changes are made here. My simple database URL. This is my site name. This will be customized according to what your name is. My site name is Drupal sandbox.detail.sites, and this is my number here. So this is where I do make changes. These three lines should be enough in most cases. There's also fourth line memory limit -1, and this is basically for reporting. This will already be there in most of the cases, but in case it is not there, these are important. Otherwise, these three are the main ones that you should target. All right. Now, with that being done, oh yeah, one more important thing. MySQL DB is the default internal detail database credentials string. It tells the PHP unit to directly route to the active Docker container. So basically, do not make any changes to this string. Only when your project is mentioned, change that part to what your site is actually. Apart from that, you can keep it to .db for DB space. That is pretty good. Now let us run PHP units. Again, it follows the same pattern, dev exec, the path where PHP unit exists, and then a path where our tests will be. Great. So let's do that. And so we can go. Did not be done on module. Right. Exactly what I need. So the way I got it so quickly is by pressing tab. Tab really helps. Now let us see if detail exec runs or works here. And it doesn't. Okay. So let us remove detail exec. Hopefully it does work here. Let's see. These tests do take a lot of time, in my opinion, because there are a lot. So let me just quickly give you the overview of our testing. So a good practice for testing is that we have a README. So while these tests are running, let me just read. So these dictionary contains comprehensive automated suit testing for AI module. So this is how it is mentioned. Functional. There are functional tests. There are functional JavaScript. There's kernel and there's unit. Function is a full browser test with complete Drupal installation. Functional JavaScripts are real browser tests with Chrome selection for Ajax and JS interactions. So as you can note, that functional will take a lot of time because it's a full browser test. Kernel and unit tests are relatively quicker. Unit tests being the quickest, followed by kernel. In kernel tests integration with tests with partial Drupal bootstrap and active database, whereas in unit, it is a fast isolated test with mock dependencies. There is no Drupal bootstrap. So as you can see, this will be the fastest encounter. We also have all of these things mentioned in the web environment YAML that you will have to configure as well. And yes, this is the same command that we have been running. This is runs PHP unit. It does run a generator test from Web 4. Even I have mentioned this here. So now what happens is the reason this is showing error because we have not started. So it's except for the unit test, it is not going to shoot anything correctly because code is not stuck. So let's me exit this, and let me first show you if we can just run the unit. And can we? In tests, we do have, okay, in tests, we have SRC, in that we have units. And this should be able to. Okay. So as you can see, unit tests ran so quickly, you just had one blink and yeah, the results were there. So what happened is dot 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 means, hey, it was all correct. So that's okay. Assertions 129, PHP unit depreciations is 9. But this is because this is an internal issue that I have. I'm using an older version of PHP. But worry not, when you deploy code to your module, it does affect that. So yeah, that's PHP unit, and you can just run customized tests based on SRC and what kind of tests you do want. Otherwise, for the starting one, it normally you need to start redev. So let's just start on redev. Start, and it will take a bit of time. So this will start our redev, and then hopefully we do not get any errors. Started. So you can also find this. This is a testing readme that I had. Super useful, and let me present it this way. So this is what the end consumer is going to see, and you can copy this and run test by type unit colon functional JavaScript to JavaScript, running a single test file. If you reference a single test file, it does run for that. With verbose output, you put test docs for having showing test names as they run, and if for fields increasing this. For lint and static stretch, DW PHP CS, PHP stand, and this is a lot of detailed description. Okay, now our things should be working. Now, if you see, this should give us proper output. And let's just hit if this docs works. Test docs. That's what it does. And so hopefully we get some output. Let's see how much time this takes. So initially it will run in the folder structure. So first it will run the functional test, which will take a lot of time. It is still giving me, that means there is some other issue that we are in front. So yeah, that is how testing is done. And if you just go for a particular file, okay, so this is also a good way to show you guys testing. So if I know that starting is, I want to pinpoint where the issue is. And if I just say, hey, I want to first run just functional, not functional JavaScript, and figure out what the issue is. So in functional, I just have 3 tests. So after this fails, it will give me a detailed output on what has failed, why it has failed, and what I can do to perhaps improve it. In most cases, it won't show the improvements, but it will show you what's changed. So let's just see a third E, and we know all of this have failed. They're purposely wrong here to show you the different kinds of outputs. As I will show you, the pipeline and that is the current pipeline is already green. Just wait for it to run. Now you might question, hey, you told me that there are only 3 test case files. Why are there more than 3 E's? Why are there more than 3 errors? The reason is that in one particular test case file, there can be multiple tests. So there are multiple tests running behind the page, and that is why there are many E's. Okay. So it had 6 errors. There were 6 tests, and we failed all. Just up, up, up. And it does show what things we do have here. Hey, for AI recipe generator functional tests, it did show installing Drupal. For issues continuing installing, there is some installing issue that we have. No MySQL is running on the system, and that you are using incorrect host name or IP port that has blocking or something. That is some other issue that we have encountered. Similarly, for this, I mean, it is just an installation issue. This does not mean that my test cases or the way I have written are wrong. It just means that hey, there's some other issue I cannot connect to the database. That is the issue that it is hinting on. Okay, so that is about testing, and that is how we basically go about testing. And that covers the 2 weeks. And hey, catch you up with the next time, and you can see all of these things. The blog has some extra additional tips if you want. That's more or less it. And if we just want to hover over the published section, in published, let's go to week 7 and 8. Oh, I mean, week 7 and 8 we have covered, sorry, week 9 and 10. So if you just go across week 9, you will see building the test suite. It has all of this in detail, the same things that I have explained here. And this is basically an image will load about having the pipeline green, and which was beyond happiness for me, fixing the pipeline when you finally achieve this stage. Hey, the entire pipeline is passed. It is really different. And especially when you are coding your first time. And in week 10, we did our first release. So release I will cover in another video because this video is already 25 minutes long. But yeah, it was majorly fixing about this pipeline. And lastly, yes, one section that I wanted you to cover is how to debug the pipeline. Let's say, hey, this section is failed. We click on this section and it will show us the detailed output where the errors were failed. So basically, this is a Drupal lines end of line file, and we get some errors. So now, if it is mentioned X, then some of the errors can be fixed. So if you go to artifacts, which is a pretty interesting thing, you just go to browse and you have, okay, this is not the artifacts, but a few of them you can see here that it will have a, so you can apply that patch and automatically fix the issues. That is pretty interesting. I'm sorry. So that is about it. And just to make sure that our last pipeline was really successful. Yeah, last quite a few pipelines were really successful when I merged it. So yeah, that is about it. Thank you. Take care and meet you next time.